Okay.
All right.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the OC Bitches. We have a very special episode with a very, very special guest. If you didn't already hear, that is Mischa Barton. Mischa started her acting career in 1994 in the New York theater scene, working with acclaimed writers and directors such as James Lapine and Tony Kushner. She had unforgettable roles in movies like Lawn Dogs, Notting Hill, The Sixth Sense, and many more. But it was the OC and her role as Marissa Cooper that made her a household name and one of the most sought-after actors of her generation. She has an upcoming movie called Invitation to a Murder. Want to hear all about that?
Yeah.
And we are so happy she is here. Please welcome Mischa Barton. Yay!
Whoa. Hey, guys. Wow, you went way back there, Mindy. I wasn't expecting you to do that. Wow.
Oh, she starts from the beginning.
Yeah, we like to do some introductions for our interviews. So
Yes.
I love that.
it's been so long. Thank you so much for doing that. You know, when Rachel asked me to do this podcast, I realized it was so much fun for me because I was really a fan of the show, just as an observer. But I know Rachel didn't have time to watch it. And I guarantee you didn't have time to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Because you were being pulled in every direction possible and working every single day that we were shooting. Do you feel like that was the truth?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the schedule got away from us at a certain point there, and it was impossible to. Not that I would have sat around probably watching the show anyway, you know? Like,
Right.
I don't think, even if I only worked 2 days a week, but at least I would have had a clearer picture of where people were at as fans watching it. Because when you're so deep into it, working every single day, like you said, it's not. I remember by the time we got that day off at the weekend, it was like you sleep all day and then you start again at a 6 a.m., 5 a.m. call time. Like, so it doesn't, you never really stop, you know? So
Yeah. But you were also 16 years old, like working like that, which is insane.
yeah, well, 17 and a half, 18. But yeah, it's true. It was a lot.
You were 17? I always thought you were
Yeah.
16 when we started, just for the pilot.
Maybe for like an initial meeting or something.
Right. Because wait, your birthday's the January 24th?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, see,
Aw.
I got it right.
It's coming
I
up.
know. Wow.
I know.
Well,
Good job.
I said, because when I saw you, I said February and you corrected me because I remember you were if we didn't shoot the pilot February, March of that year, you had just turned 17. Because
Okay.
then I remember we went to Koi for your
okay.
18th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
You remember
oh my
that?
God, that's funny. I do remember.
was
I
a
do remember
girls'
going
party.
to restaurants. I thought we went to Matsuhisa, but it could have been Koi. But anyway, I remember like we would write it on the cake, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can't have a drink. You're not 21." And I was like, "Whose idea was it to get a cake?"
Right. It's been so long. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the show, which is insane. Like,
That's wild.
yeah, I'm like, I could not feel older if I tried. But like, it's just been so long. But it's still like, it's so nice to still hear the reaction to the show and to you in particular, and how the fans are still so behind it and still love it. And like, even like younger kids are watching it, which is crazy.
I know, it's kind of crazy that there's a whole COVID group of young people who watched it. So
Yeah.
I do think it's weird when I have like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds come up to me. I'm like, this wasn't like really your generation. It's funny you guys are watching it. But that's cool.
Although,
You know?
gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. And the fashion, there were so many things, Mischa, that we discovered by doing this podcast because, we're doing it. We're trying to give the fans everything, the details, any of the things that were going on with us. But it was like, it was such a cultural phenomenon. And we had no idea. It was kind of like this under the radar. But within a month, we had the highest ratings ever on the show. And then it went down a little bit from there, but it was like,
I remember they used to put so much stock in those ratings though. Come on, the Nielsen rating thing. It was like, this all they cared about. I was like, oh my goodness. Like it was really important to them.
I know.
yeah.
I wonder if it's still, do you think it's still important these days? Do you know? Like, do they still care that much if it's like I feel like the Nielsen ratings doesn't even matter anymore to this like streaming platform generation. It's more like,
It's a different new algorithm that that we don't know. They do measure things. They do measure.
Well, yeah, of course. But I just remember those Nielsen ratings were funnier.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
I
the demographic, because the OC was literally, there's that, if you are leading in the 18 to 49 demographic, and that was a big deal for Fox to have that leading demographic for that long. So it was, it was
to know that
truly,
young people and people in their 30s were all watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember that first event, Mischa, where they had us go down to Manhattan Beach and like we met all the crowds And do you remember that?
Oh my God, I can never forget it. I remember I turned to somebody and said, "Ooh, what's that? That looks like a fun party." And they were like,
We all did the same thing.
It was
I was
insane.
like, that's for you guys.
Yeah, that's always
Right,
like
right.
the moment we refer to when they're like, when did you know? Like I was like, well, there were a lot of people.
Right, because we had just wrapped a day of working, or a lot of people had wrapped, and we went straight there, and it was like, what? We thought we were going to a screening party. Well, we didn't actually sit and watch it, did we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, it was some kind of little we called it a meet and greet. Well, there were, thousands of kind of Beatlemania energy going on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited today to go through top Marissa moments with you.
Yay!
Right. We thought that this could be, this is a real love letter to Marissa, a celebration of Marissa, because it is so loved and beloved. And Marissa, more than any character, went through some really, really dramatic things and some wonderful things. And it's been just really a joy, Mischa, for us to watch in detail how, we know how crazy it was to be shooting, but also just how proficient and how much depth you gave the character. And we just watched your final episode, and I cried like multiple times. It's still there.
No, I couldn't watch it. Mischa, I had to stop the episode before that scene. I was like, I can't do it. Like I would cry thinking about it, and I just couldn't go there. So I did not watch it.
There's a lot of tears, That
was hard. Yeah. But yes, like Mindy said, watching you back and everything you gave to Marissa, it's just so impressive. So we're so happy that you're here to talk about some of those moments.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
So we did a poll on Instagram, but the first moment really was one of the top moments. It's from the pilot when Ryan is meeting Marissa for the first time.
Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Okay.
This one's wild, but you know what I didn't remember about this?
What?
I had no recollection that Sandy even comes in at the end of the scene.
He comes in at the end of the scene?
Peter Gallagher's in
when
the
they're
end of the
smoking.
scene.
So she says, "You have who are you?" And he's got this very intense.
Whoever you want me to be. And,
right.
What would you do if a guy said that to you now? Like, whoever you want me to be. Would you be like, what are you talking about?
I know. I think it's definitely a little outdated. That kind of language. It was supposed to be this like James Dean moment, and it's that was a tough scene, man. I know we tried so many different ways to try to make it not seem so hokey, and like it took multiple tries. Like
really,
as with everything with like Josh and them back then, it was like, well, maybe she should be drunker or like sloppier or more messy and I'm like, I don't know though. Like she can't always be like that. But at some of those first scenes, it was like very much like trying to hit the right note,
Mm-hmm.
And he is so intense. And I found rewatching it, I'm really like, they went for the ones where I was sort of like more like, I think I say to Sandy something about like, "Oh, are you excited for my gala tomorrow, for my like benefit tomorrow?" And he's like, "Oh, so excited." And I'm like, "Really?" Like very sarcastic kind of like, they went for the ones where I was more like, Marissa's not taking it as seriously, because there were some where she's like dead serious about all of that stuff. But then I think the tone that ended up getting set was that she makes fun of that stuff too. And she's like, she's not that into any of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's why I did not remember Peter coming in at the end and that whole exchange behind Ben, where he's like, "This is my favorite nephew," or whatever.
Right. I thought it was interesting because, as the show went on, Ryan became more and more subtle and a man of very few words. And this was like, the pilot has Ryan speaking more than almost any part in the whole show. It feels like, he has a monologue when he's in jail with Sandy.
Oh, right.
And then he has that speech. And I always took it as like, whoever you want me to be was like a line of dialogue that his brother would say, picking up chicks, you know what I mean? Or, so he's coming with that Chino thing. And then he instantly wants to tell you his story. That's actually the truth. And she's not quite sure. She's smart enough to go, is this another line?
I mean, it is a really good question. What the hell are you doing in my driveway? You don't fit in here. Like, I mean, the fact she's not more surprised by the fact that there's just this leather pad, kid at the the end of the driveway is kind of like, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, you probably should have been a little more like, because that's a gated community. You don't just pop out of nowhere like that. And I just accept pretty straight off that this cute boy is in my driveway, and that's totally fine.
The bouncy blowout, the perfectly pulled back pony, and even, yes, the messy mom bun. We all have our own style goals, but we all have different hair types and textures too. So mine can be frizzy. And it's super fine, and sometimes it just floats in the air. Rather than using a typical one-size-fits-all approach, Living Proof solves hair's toughest challenges with individualized solutions designed for the hair you have, but to create the look you want.
Living Proof's passion for brilliant hair starts in their labs in Boston, Massachusetts. Founded by a team of elite university scientists and hair experts, each product is intentionally engineered to solve your toughest hair challenges rather than just conceal them. I have been a fan of Living Proof for a decade plus. My hair is always frizzy. Today it's raining, it's extra frizzy. But their frizz line is my favorite.
So I only started using Living Proof because of the podcast. And I love it. You're so right. The texture is just amazing afterwards. And after a blowout, it's even better.
Living Proof's award-winning formulas are proven to make hair look and feel healthier without sacrificing integrity. They're also PETA certified, cruelty-free, color-safe, and safe for chemically treated hair.
Stop concealing and show off your hair's natural brilliance with Living Proof. Visit livingproof.com/TheOC and use code TheOC to get 10% off your first purchase.
That's livingproof.com/TheOC, code TheOC for 10% off your first purchase. livingproof.com/TheOC, code TheOC. At the start of the year, I always have the best intentions, like having a more balanced schedule, exercising more, and eating better. But one thing I know I can check off my New Year's to-do list is eating well thanks to Daily Harvest.
Daily Harvest delivers delicious harvest bowls, soups, flatbread, snacks, smoothies, lattes, and more. Build on organic fruits and vegetables. They work directly with farmers to source the best ingredients, freeze them at peak ripeness to lock in flavors and nutrients, and they never use artificial preservatives or ingredients. Look, I love to have Daily Harvest in the freezer ready at any moment. It's very delicious, it's fiber-filled, it's whole foods, and I can feel good about having something really quick, and it's frozen. A lot of frozen food is super processed.
Mm-hmm.
This is not.
I love how easy it is because let me tell you, my mornings are insane. Getting Briar ready for school and off to school. I love that I have every option in the freezer, and she really loves it, and I know I'm putting something really good and nutritious in her body. The smoothies in particular, she loves.
Totally. CG loves it too. If eating well is a goal for 2023, let Daily Harvest support you on the journey. Go to dailyharvest.com/TheOC to get up to $40 off your first box.
That's dailyharvest.com/TheOC for up to $40 off your first box. dailyharvest.com/TheOC.
Okay, should we go on to the next one? So what we have planned is we had so many great questions for you, but fans who specifically asked about the scenes that we want to talk about. So we're going to let Manveer ask about this next scene.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Mischa. Big fan of yours. I love your work. I just wanted to ask, how was it like filming that episode in Tijuana when he went down for spring break, I think it was? The cliffhanger at the end of that episode was insane. Rock on.
Rock on. Thank you.
Aw. Yeah, so this I did have trouble remembering like what leads up to it and what the reason for this whole breakdown is. So going back over it, there's parenting problems, and then there's also Ryan has been seen with another girl.
So Julie divorces Jimmy and says, we're getting a divorce. And then Jimmy has to tell her on the phone because Kirsten keeps saying, you've got to tell her. And Jimmy was like the one thing, because he was living in the house, and he tells her on the phone, like, I got to go. I've got to move out. And that was devastating for her.
She is such a daddy's girl at times.
You are.
Like, very much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But who's the girl that Ryan's with that she sees? I'm trying to trigger my memory.
Some like random nobody. Like, I think maybe Marissa like misinterprets it because, well, unless I just really don't remember, but I did read the synopsis and the girl's name meant nothing to me. I think maybe, but that could also just be Mischa not recollecting correctly. But I do think that it's probably nothing major.
Right.
Or does he have another girlfriend for a minute? You guys would know better than me.
I know, it's
Does
triggering
he start-
something.
Why am I feel really bad because our super fans will be like, I can't believe Melinda and
By the way,
just
like
did this.
none of us are remembering anything. But I remember, when we watched this back the first time, Mischa, just your commitment to the overdose and everything else. Like, it's so trippy and you're so in it with you and your performance. And so many people have said this, like how incredible it is in this sequence. Because it's like, it was shot really well, it was edited well, but your performance is really what did it. And it was like, it was really hard to watch. It gave me anxiety.
No, the whole clip, Mischa, it starts because she takes the pills. She takes Summer's stepmom's pills that she was getting for her in Tijuana, and which we come to understand, I think, are like Vicodin or something. But she takes them in a bar, a pretty seedy bar with some very questionable characters. And it's very dangerous where you see these men leering at you or at her when she starts going through these, like, all of a sudden she's taking too much and she's sweating. And then when we see her in the alley, that's that very scary moment. And it was kind of, it was a cliffhanger in such that if the show never came back, that would have been the finale of the show.
Wow. So is that at the end of a season?
No, it was the end of, we're coming back after baseball. So we continued, but I think they had it written
as like a huge cliffhanger. I remember that actually, the thing about the sports or something. There was something where it was a cliffhanger for something. Yeah. That brings back memories now. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. There is some stuff in there that's very ahead of its time, like showing an overdose on television of a young person, especially because, like, I am so young in that scene and it doesn't come across like I'm older than that, so it's like pretty scary to see like a teenage kid, like, or like, a very young person that in that bad a situation. It's wild.
Exactly. That goes into into the next scene where you guys are on the Ferris wheel and poor Ryan is so terrified of heights.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I had to get the cheap Ferris wheel, didn't you? What kind of carnival is this, Cooper? Oh. Okay.
It's kind of fun watching him squirm, isn't it?
Well, I hadn't seen that in a while. Even though we started this podcast, season 1 feels very foreign to me. So, but I had to go back.
Does it?
Well, just because it's. Yeah, I mean, because I tend to stay in the moment, so we're.
I think I have the reverse effect, because season 1 I was still kind of fresh faced and not as exhausted. I think by season 3, I don't remember anything about season 3. Really. Right, I'm sort of like at that point I am like checked out to lunch, like so tired, like not so. I do have a lot of vivid memories from season 1 and 2, and then it sort of tapers off a little bit more.
Yeah,
that's true.
But also that's to do with the storyline as well. I mean, it's a lot of things.
They did like absolutely everything possible with your character. Like they like took her in every way possible. You definitely did it all. But this next scene is your first kiss with Ryan on the Ferris wheel.
Look, maybe you just need something to take your mind off it.
Oh, 50 feet in the air. How do you expect me to possibly?
And it's like, I mean, I love it, but I'm a sucker for like, all this stuff. But it's so pretty and it's shot so pretty. And I remember them setting up the carnival in like Marina Del Rey. See, I remember like random things.
It's beautiful.
And it looks so good. Yeah.
Some of us need good lighting to look good. You look good in everything and even more beautiful. And there's so many episodes.
I'm just such a baby in that scene. I mean, like, I'm like, I'm like a fetus at that point. So, like, yeah.
Well, but, Patrick Rush made the point that, you were the one teenager, truly a teenager in the role, and that everyone else were in their 20s. But he was making the point that when you have someone that looks like Mischa at 17, most 17-year-old boys they just wouldn't match up next to you because you were so beautiful, sophisticated, and mature. And boys tend to mature a little bit later. And were you emancipated at that point? Or do you just were you working?
No, I just graduated high school here in New York. I just graduated PCS.
Oh, okay. So you graduated early.
Yeah, I had to, because when I got the call for it, I remember distinctly when I got the call for the Fastlane episode that sort of led to it with McGee. It was around my birthday here in New York. And I was just off of Columbus Circle, and I was like, they were like, we need you to fly to LA. And like, you know, he's not just interested in you for this. There might be another one. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. It's my birthday soon. I'm like, I have to finish high school. I was like, I don't want to go to Los Angeles. And they were like, no, you really should. It's like a serious opportunity. And so that's the story behind that.
Do you remember anything else about the beginning and the start of the show?
Or the audition process?
Yeah, how it went.
Oh, so much about the audition process. I mean, that was kind of wild. It wasn't like a smooth sailing thing, because I remember when I first sat down in that office off of Sunset, you know, it's like right where that Italian restaurant used to be. It's been gone forever. But and they had the office upstairs, and it was like, you know, they were like, oh, the reason we want you for this is because you are kind of English and a New Yorker, and you're different. Because I was like, how, like, you know, we were talking about the project, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was a funny one. And McGee was like, I think that's why you're going to work for this role. And he was like, but we're going to have to take you in and fight for it. And I like went through multiple rounds at the studio. You know, it was McGee who really championed it. And to the point where he finally went and got like film and shot me himself, paid for it.
Oh, wow.
And that one was less nerve-wracking, because it was less like being in front of a panel of execs. It was more just me and him and a bare crew, like maybe like 3 other people, like lighting and setting it up in this, I remember it as a garage, but it was probably some little studio thing he had. And, yeah, so that's when I was really able to do the crying and the emoting for the, like, it was easier for me to act if it was just not this like insane, like testing thing.
Right.
And so when they saw that, that's how I got the role. But I wasn't really like their first choice in terms of like from those like test readings. There were other people.
Right. But Josh really wanted for you and was fighting for you as well. Okay, well, that was season 1, and we talked obviously the meeting Ryan and the overdose and the first kiss.
And did we say the first, like, he's so nervous and she says, I know something that'll take that away. And she leans in, she gives him the kiss. And then you go through and he says, let's go again. So there was something I think there was something that young girls just in that moment, just so related
Instead
to
of liquid courage, it was kissing courage.
Kissing courage.
Yeah, it is really, you make a good point. I never really thought about the fact that she kisses him, but I think it is nice for young woman to see that it doesn't always have to be like the guy who's the, you know, the one who instigates it. It was really cute that she kisses him, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. It's very sweet.
She takes her opportunity and she goes for it.
We love that. We love to see it. Okay, well, we can move into season 2. We're going to start with an iconic one, but Ryan and Mike from the OCD Disorder podcast are here to help us intro it.
Hi, Misha. This is Ryan.
This is Mike.
And we are from the OCD and Superhero Show podcast. And we had to ask you, in the one of the most iconic moments in OC history, what did you do before? How did you psych yourself up to flip that furniture into the pool?
Did you do some light kettlebells? Did you punch every grill you saw in the face?
It's an amazing moment of acting. And we want to know, how can we be that flippant?
You really want to know what's bothering me? Do you? Do you really want to know what's on my mind?
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. That scene, so I just watched it again and I didn't remember like the little lead up to it too, where you come out. It's cute. I mean, I think that what I remember about that was I was so frustrated with some of the character writing and not knowing how to play it at that point that I was like, okay, what can we do here that will make this like an interesting scene, as opposed to just like screaming at her mother again, or like your typical teenage, like, you know, I think that scream is all of my frustration at that time being taken out, and like I didn't know what to do with some of the writing, to be honest, and like what to do with the scene in general. And so I was like, right, you know, I mean, just lose it on her then. Just completely lose it on her. Like, because it's hard to play a scene where you're just screaming in someone's face, and especially like that teenage angst, it's not usually played right, like, you know, there's that frustration you feel as a young person that like it's hard to replicate again
Right.
on camera.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's like, so that's what I remember about throwing the furniture in the pool. But also, what do you remember, Mindy?
Well, okay, first of all, this was the number one. This one got the most votes when I did the poll of favorite Marissa moments. I think it's just like
I'm not
of all the
surprised.
ones, because what's interesting is, you know, we're in Caleb's big new mansion that was up there on the hill in Malibu.
Mhm.
And I just remember the look on my face. I was so impressed. I said this on the podcast. I was so impressed with your dedication to, because you see it written, Marissa just screams like the craziest scream you've ever heard. And Julie is just shocked and dumbfounded. And literally I was like, oh my God, Mischa just went for it and picked up that furniture and wailed it. And to me, I totally get what you just said, that these, you know, these jobs that we do and a job like this, and you've already become the it girl, and you have so many things that you're doing outside of the show as well as on the show and the writing and stuff, that I was like, there's some real emotion there. So I thought it was.
I took a lot out in that scream. It was cathartic, you know.
Yeah.
It was a cathartic moment.
It's not easy to do.
Plus, and yeah, that teenage angst stuff isn't easy to play. You know,
Right.
it is hard. I remember one of my favorite clips, and I guess it's coming up, is actually the one with Olivia in the kitchen where we're like, you know, the banter between us is like, oh, you really want to know what's going on with me?
Yeah, that's
With
next,
this-
actually. That's the next scene that we're going to talk
That's
about.
our next scene we're going on
Also,
to.
really funny the way she, not just for the fact that, you know, she's getting it on behind your back, but also like the way she's drinking the milk and like drinking the milk and just like, oh, you really want to know what's going on with me? Well,
Yeah.
So that scene, you know, we were thinking about the scenes that are okay. We'll leave the pool where it is, the iconic sound.
yeah. Well,
But
I mean, no, we could talk more about the pool. It's just like, yeah, I feel like that was just one of those cathartic moments where you just really just like, that was
It's
what
so
that
iconic,
was.
and everyone, like we said, it was the number one request because everyone will refer to that. We're like, you really want to know? And just but who doesn't want to do that at some point in their life? Be able to just like throw furniture and scream.
Well, and we talked about like how Julie, you know, later on she says, everything I did it for you, but it was misguided. You know, she's all about, you know, it's money and status and appearances. And even though she thinks she's doing it for Marissa.
They're very different in that way.
Yeah. Not until she goes into the trailer park that she really actually becomes grateful for her, and has a much better relationship with her daughters, because she realizes that even though she doesn't have all those things that she puts so much emphasis on, she's more happy than she could ever be because she realizes people still love her.
But I think that rings true of all like kind of mother-daughter or like
Right.
generational relationships. You know, I think that whenever the mother is so obsessed, you kind of get the reverse in the child, you know? So like if you have somebody who's obsessed with like status and money and whatever, then the kid's is gonna rebel against that. And I think that is really well written between the two of them. There a lot of that part of their relationship is really interesting because like it does, you know, you tend to like do the antithesis of what you've kind of grown up against a lot of the time. And so like,
and Julie doesn't have any idea that her daughter, she's like, look, I made this wonderful place for you. Why can't you be happy? So
why can't you be happy in this palace?
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, yes, it's broken though.
We'll be keeping kosher in no time. So how about this weather, huh? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I have to go, but very nice to meet you.
Oh, rock on.
So going into that Rainy Day Women, you know, your relationship with Alex was such a big deal. And we thought about the first kiss was such a, you know, but Josh has explained that the way they edited it down, almost like a censorship, he felt it kind of wasn't as impactful. But this scene was way more fun. And I think, you know, she's doing it behind your back. And I think
it's the better of the two scenes for them, actually, isn't it? Because the other one is so edited down that you don't really like, you know, it's whatever. I think it was another like cliffhanger cut to the baseball game type of right, that the original Alex, and that's unfortunate, but I mean it's still groundbreaking, I guess, for its time, but like it's unfortunate that they had to diminish it. So this scene's more fun because you get more of the sense that they really have a playful, real relationship.
Yeah. And we always like to see Marissa when she's more light and fun and not having to do all of the drinking or the drugs or the drama. And like you have these moments and it does show in this scene, and you and Olivia are having so much fun and it really plays on screen. And it's such a great scene.
I really wish they'd written more for you, because once you go, that whole little exchange where she's like, Julie wants to make sure that Alex knows she's cool. Oh, right. It still is my day, and rock on. And then she says, oh, and by the way, it's okay. But they go back to that mother-daughter talk. That's kind of that banter. And it was so realistic to me, now that my daughter's grown up now. And it was so realistic rewatching this that I thought, I would have loved to have seen a lot more of that, because that reminds me of more like that fun. You're like that, there are times when we're like, ooh, that was exactly Mischa. That's not Marissa. Where you, so it was a lot of fun, that episode or scene.
Yeah, I do really like that whole thing at the fridge between us as well. It's a good scene in general because it's got a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's the one storyline they did sort of cut short. That was the Olivia Alex one.
It was short. I think everyone wanted to see more. But we have to get to another like incredibly iconic, obvious moment from the show, season 2, the dearly beloved, where Marissa shoots Trey.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, you can't even like say that scene without going, what you say? Just like cue Imogen Heap. What do you remember about that? And holy shit, it's like the biggest. And they've spoofed it so many times. I don't know if you're aware, Mischa. Like SNL did a skit, and like it really took on a life of its own.
I don't think I know there was an SNL skit of it, but like, yeah, I mean, it's a wild scene. I mean, why does she shoot Trey again?
To save Ryan.
Kill him. Yeah, I mean, he is going to kill him, I suppose. But like, what are they fighting about in the first place?
Well, Trey tries to
assault you.
Yeah,
he tries
sexually
to
assault
rape
you.
Marissa.
Yeah, on the beach.
That's right.
Do you remember that now?
Yes, I do. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a wild scene.
Marissa, we've learned, she really is a nightingale. And she likes to take care of people and everyone. And one of the themes is that every person, every boy that she gives just her attention to or tries to help, every boy falls in love with her. Of course, there was Oliver, and then there was Trey, and then there's Johnny, and there's all these boys that become obsessed with her. And how could you not become obsessed with her? But he takes it a step further, and she has a lot of PTSD. And then when Ryan finds out, and she doesn't want to tell Ryan, but of course, when Ryan finds out, exactly what happens is, and he's got this gun. And so when she comes in, and he's about to, really hurt Ryan, and she saves his life. So. And that is, Trey really is the downfall of kind of what ends up happening to Marissa because of all of those things. There's this terrible snowball effect of what happens to Marissa's life.
But that it really is the turning point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember though, shooting it literally and figuratively?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. Gun control, kids. I mean,
I know, right? Right.
But like,
there's so many of those moments throughout the show where you're like, oh no, we like couldn't do that today or say that today or whatever it is. And it's kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I remember shooting it. It was intense. I remember I was real tired.
Yeah.
And I remember it's funny because you guys only come in at the end.
Yeah.
It was a long time to shoot it,
right.
Obviously. I mean, it's a shooting scene, so it's like, it's like those always are kind of complicated and whatever, and like you have to like do all the logistics of blocking it out and how you're going to shoot it from whatever angle. So by the time you guys come in at the end and I slumped down on the wall, that was literal because I was like, I've been at it a whole fucking day. So like,
did you ever see the SNL skit?
No,
we'll have to send it to you. We'll send it to you.
Oh my gosh,
send it to me.
Yeah, you'll get a kick out of it.
They took some people learned about the OC because of the SNL skit, put it that way. What you say.
That's really funny. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But so when we got to season 3, we wanted to pick some quick scenes. There's so many, but one of the ones that I thought was so funny, right, is
cringe is the one with the fake British accent. It's so terrible. With the stripper one.
Hi, are you Trevor?
Yeah.
I'm Marissa, the new foreign exchange student. I just got here from London.
I love London.
Well, I was hoping you could give me a tour. Starting with your dorm room.
Sounds good, but I did my junior year abroad at Oxford. I don't buy that phony English accent for a second.
Oh my God, the stripper one. You look
it's
so
really bad.
Like you look so hot. Though.
Iconic.
So bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Look, do you want to see me naked or not? But like that accent is just it's perfect. It's a crime, and it's quite the scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
But you're purposely
do remember
doing it. Yeah.
shooting. Yeah. But I do remember shooting on that campus, and it was very uncomfortable. I mean, it's like, you guys all remember that campus, don't you?
Was it
Mount
at
St. Mary's?
Yeah, Mount St. Mary's. It's like a whole thing. And yeah, I mean.
Was it uncomfortable to do, because also you were working with Cam Gigande as Volchak, but of course we all think he's so hot, but you guys were doing some pretty intense scenes with him. Some kind of very, very explicit scenes or something. This looked so great, but I was like, but I feel kind of uncomfortable with her playing this role,
Yeah. No, that was one of the more, like, that's some of the more uncomfortable stuff. I mean, yeah. Because you do have to literally walk, like, right across this whole campus like that, trying to play it like you're hot, Like,
was the British accent written in the script, or did you choose to do it?
I don't remember how we landed on that.
I think it was
do that.
written.
Written.
I think it was written too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's such a fun scene, and yes, you look amazing. So
yeah, because it goes full circle too. It
Right.
was always written, "Do you want to see me naked or not?" And then it's like,
yeah, that's the button.
But it was fun that you got to have those scenes with Caitlin. It was a fun episode.
Yeah,
it was a fun
Some
episode.
resolution.
And then the next scene from episode 25.
The music moment.
Oh.
Yes.
What's this one?
Is this the one where we're in the pool?
Model home.
Yep. It's for sale. And it's completely deserted.
This is the last episode and you guys are about to graduate, and, Marissa has decided to go hang out with Jimmy. He's invited her to work on his yacht to go to Greece, and she's saying goodbye. She's chosen not to go to Berkeley.
Yeah, I remember Mischa actually filming, and we were all just having fun. Like, it wasn't like there was like, it was scripted, like we were messing around in the pool. And I remember having a lot of fun that day, even though there was like the melancholy undertones of like what was to come. I don't know. It was one of the few that really stuck out in my mind.
We're playing chicken and everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, her tattoo. I can't.
You didn't get a matching one?
Believe it or not, no. I skipped the tramp stamp. But like, this is wild. Yeah, I love how they heated the pool so nicely for us. It's literally steaming.
It's steaming.
Right.
I know. Thank God, though.
And
Could you imagine if we had to be in the pool if it wasn't? We would be like...
We were like, oh, could it be warm?
Yeah. You want us to do what? Yes, we need it heated. Thank you.
I can't.
I know. I remember having fun doing that.
Yeah, it's a really sweet
It
scene.
is
I know.
sweet.
It's nice when you have days where you can just like do stuff that's not quite so heavy, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it is.
All those scenes when you're playing around and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I know.
Sweet. A little trip down memory lane.
I know.
Well, and the scene directly after that is a scene between Ryan and Marissa, and you're crying, and he's like, and she says, "Do you think we'd ever get together?" And he says, "Who says we won't?" Like, and there was this moment where it's like, "Oh, this is just now; it's not over." And it's this beautiful scene. Rachel and I were reflecting that there was so much in that episode that was real. Like, we were so devastated that you were leaving the show. And there was just a lot of real emotion on that last week. And I just remember being so grateful to be working with you. And you did such a beautiful, beautiful performance I mean, the whole show, but that last episode was really, really powerful. So many people afterwards would come up to me and talk about that episode. And it's just like how it was like the music and everything. It was like literally at least a half a dozen times of crying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the music was always the saving grace in the show too, though. Always, it was like the right song at the right moment. I mean, if I still listen to those songs, it takes me right back to a specific place. And
Yeah.
luckily, I think a lot of people felt that way. So
Yeah.
it's nice when the music can be supported in a moment in time by a show.
Absolutely. Well, to end the best moments of Marissa portion, we have some fans from Brazil who we are going to we're going to play a voicemail.
Hi, Mischa.
Hi, Mischa.
How did you feel when you showed Melissa's death scene?
Love you so much.
Kisses.
Oh,
So,
that's so cute.
yeah, the iconic, painful death scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy. What I remember about it is from the view of having played it, not from the view
Watching
of
it.
having watched it. In fact, I think I've probably only seen it once in my life. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I just remember from my point of view, again, that day and what it was like from my perspective, you know,
Right.
like not, and the blood and everything and all of that. So there's always that joke. I think I've said this a million times, but I was like, more blood, more blood.
Oh,
It needs to be, because it was going to border on like being like a TV death. And I really wanted it to be super dramatic and as realistic as you can get for the OC. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, so that people really, like, she went out with a bang. So I just remember like, and I remember being under that car in the ground and like him having to come like, you know, wrestle her out. But I feel like if you're going to kill a character, you know, when you kill a character, you need to kind of like make it needs to be like, it needed to be a thing after everything she's been through, you know? But yeah, if it's here, I'll watch it with you. But like,
let's do
I
it.
know it's.
I couldn't do it, Mischa. I couldn't do it, but I'm going to do it if you're going to do it.
I don't particularly want to, but I will.
I feel you. I'm with you. I don't want to. It is so hard to watch.
We're in for it. Okay, I press play.
Okay. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
She's watching it.
Follow me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Pass.
What the hell?
All right. Hold on.
Whoa! Oh my God, it's him. What are you doing? Okay, pull over.
Where?
Stop! What the hell are you doing?
I'm gonna get him to pull the car over so we can finally finish this.
Get away, okay?
Pull it over!
Stop
There's a lot of questions about. Cool.
Oh my God.
I mean, it is what it is with the driving. Like, I suppose it just. Oh no.
Oh jeez.
Oh wow. I remember that. So I remember when we started on this, you know, because that whole driving thing is one thing that was not that long to shoot. I don't mean the stunt part of it. I'm sure that took them all night. In fact, I remember it did. But the part here, starting here, is where we really got into like, it took forever to.
And it's like eerily quiet. Like there's no music. There's no nothing.
There's no music, just crickets.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this.
Poor Marissa. She really, really goes through it. It's crazy that, you know, I mean, anything about a car accident is wild, but. Oh my God, it's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to pull her
He
out
has to pull her
like
out.
that. Oh, wow. Because wow. And the gasoline, oh my God, I don't remember that. I don't remember the fire. I guess because I'm playing dead as well.
You're like, my eyes were closed.
Unaware of what's going on here. Oh my goodness. Oh no.
And the beautiful.
Then the music
Hallelujah.
starts.
I have chills all over my body.
Oh.
Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor.
Oh my.
I used to live alone before I knew you.
Marissa.
I've seen your flag on the marble arch.
Marissa.
Love is not some victory mark. It's a cold and it's a broken heart.
Okay, I'm gonna get help, okay?
Do we even know, like,
Yeah, I gotta get help.
No. Stay.
no.
Billy.
This is horrible, this part. I know. Because it's the culmination of their whole love story, it is.
Okay.
Oh no. I'm getting really sad too. You can't cry, Rachel.
I'm sorry. It's why I couldn't watch it. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly like the actual death moment, so I guess I'll watch it to just say I've seen it again recently, but like, oh yeah, that's right, all the blood on her head and stuff. Because it was like, what really kills her? You know, if you're gonna kill her, it's like, what is actually the thing that, yeah. Oh.
Marissa.
Oh no.
I know, I can't do it.
Marissa.
Oh.
Yeah, that middle part is really painful when she asks him to stay with her.
Because she knows.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to see the part where he gets all emotional. I'm done now.
Okay. Well, if you're done, I have to be done because I'm gonna
Okay,
literally
it cuts
lose my
out.
shit. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I didn't press pause for it. They're going back to the pilot. Fuck me. Okay. I can't do it. Jesus Christ.
Wait, what is this next bit with him and Sandy's?
Because it flashes back to where you guys meet each other.
Yes.
No.
Yes. I can't, you guys. Like, I can't.
Okay, yeah. Let's not go there. We're
No.
gonna be
Oh my
solid.
god. I can't.
That
Ugh.
really, that really is like intense.
Oh my god. It's so intense. Like, it's like beautiful, of course, but like it really hurts, you know? And like I couldn't watch it when we just did the episode last week. Like Melinda had to take over. I couldn't. It's so.
It was. There was I just was. See, I'm gonna start crying again. But there were just these moments where, of course, he says, "Let me go. I'm gonna get help," and she says, and you say, "No," but it's not because she knows, and it's like he stays for her last breath, and that is so powerful, and there was something so like, and he remained like calm, cool, like he's not overly dramatic, and there was something just so beautiful, tragic, and peaceful at the same time.
Yeah,
and
thank God it doesn't get all like frenetic,
Right.
and crazy. To be honest, you know,
And-
like
That's why it hits so hard, you know? It's just so like with them and you're in it. And it's just kind of like a like the whole series and everything with you guys, and like it just brings up so much, you know, and like everything the characters went through, and I never would have been able to watch it. I'm like grateful that you wanted to, because like I don't think I could.
I wouldn't have either if we weren't doing this together. But
Well, and so many people have said, and what I've learned, Misha, there were a lot of people like behind, you know, like Norman Buckley, and just so many people that were so upset that your character was leaving, and I think you said that, you know, she could have gone off with Jimmy, but it was like a more powerful thing to do it this way, I guess. But
well, I think so. I mean, I don't really think the running off with Jimmy thing is like,
Right,
you know,
right.
I mean,
Right.
you know, I think it's why it's more of an iconic moment.
Yeah.
I can't believe you see her there as the ghost too. I totally forgot that. Like the ghost of her standing in the driveway, basically.
Like a flashback. I know.
Yeah.
To that moment.
Yeah.
And you know that there was this outcry across literally this ripple, this emotional ripple that cut through. There were teenage girls who couldn't go to school the next day. There were, you know, and not really knowing. And then truth be told, there was a huge part of the audience that tuned in just for Marissa. And the ratings did go down in season 4 because you weren't there. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having somebody come up to me in the airport, and she was absolutely hysterical shortly after it aired. And I was like, totally taken aback by that. I was like, people were like,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just so much more of like, I mean, it's I don't even know like how to describe it, but just because of that moment, and it was so tragic, but it's also like the only way to leave you feeling about Marissa is like the feelings you take away from how she left. Because how she like the whole thing. And it's so much more like kind of poetic and like impactful, you know? Like you said, like Sail Away with Jimmy, but it just shows you how much everyone loved Marissa on the show, you in real life and being on the show, and such like a compliment and an ode to everything, you did. And it's just like that much more impactful.
But that's wild.
I'm sweating, you guys. That was
I know, that was really more intense than I thought it was going to be, because I had forgotten that the car sets fire right away. And so he's like forced to pull her out like that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, I mean, she was searching the whole show. She's literally saying, I don't belong at Berkeley. I thought I was going to be this person, and now I need to go find myself. She just was constantly searching for some kind of belonging. And, and I think there's such a huge, audience that were so it found Marissa so relatable, because a lot of people don't have their feet on the ground and know what life is all about. And she was searching, and so this was a very strong choice, and the storyline serves the characters, especially going into the next season, like how they deal with this stuff, but it was definitely a loss, but it was so impactful, and we're still talking about it today because of that. So shall we move on really quick to some,
Sure.
we talked about you're
let's lighten things up.
Yeah, let's lighten things up. Marissa, and you had a huge impact on her fashion, and you got to choose a lot of these things. If I'm not mistaken, so a lot of her iconic moments in fashion were things that you handpicked. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, I was really obsessed with a lot of the clothes, because I felt one of the things that helped me play this character the most was the wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that Southern Californian surfer kid, like didn't grow up like that. And I had strong opinions about what I thought, like, supposed rich kid from Southern California should look like, that I had made up in my mind, like this whole like mood board of like what she needed to be then. And it involved a lot of like that kind of like preppiness, and so like when I put on some of those clothes, it made me feel more like her,
Right.
So like I in the sense that like it just mattered to me in certain scenes what she was wearing. The dress could change like the way I felt about the whole thing. Like even in like, when she's hosting some event or something, or like, it's important that she's like, that's who she is. And then you can kind of play against that. But if you have to like, we were so lucky to get like real Chanel and stuff from them at the time. And like, if you had to like fake that and pretend to dress like that, it would have been harder to play it up. If you're really wearing like, whatever, and like you're trying to be this thing. So the clothes did really, really help. And I was super grateful to the people at the time who sent clothes and helped and did that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So many beautiful things.
Yeah. And it changes the way you feel, the way you hold yourself, and like your confidence level and everything. So I think that really was so integral. That and the music, fashion and the music.
Right. You had that famous Marc Jacobs polka dot dress.
Yeah, let me get to this. I want to see these pictures. Let's see. This is going to be both embarrassing and good, I suppose, the way it goes. Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah, that's such a cute dress. I've always loved Marc Jacobs anyway, though. And that's
Marc Jacobs
it's
polka
great
dot
in
dress.
its simplicity,
It's so
a
cute.
good one. And yeah, it's cute. Exactly. It's very sweet.
And these, I think these picks were, Vogue talks about Marissa's number one picks, and these, I think some of these were part of their picks too. But when you guys go to the Rooney concert with the crimped hair and the graphic tee, that was really, there's a lot of people that talk about that.
I loved your hair crimped like that. It was so cute. Yeah. And I remember filming the Rooney concert, Mischa, and I have a picture of you and me and Samira, like dancing on stage and you're playing the drums with Rooney, like their drums, and we were just messing
my
around
God,
in
that's
between
so
setups
funny.
and stuff. I'll send them to you. They're so
That's
cute.
so funny.
Yeah.
Long before I dated Taylor too. That's really hilarious.
Oh my God. Right. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
That's right.
We initially met there, but I don't really remember as much hanging out with them on set as I do after.
How funny.
That. This is, I mean, so that's like very me at that age too, though. Like when we get into this like low sling jeans rocker tees, that's kind of what I was wearing as well in real life. So I was very comfortable there. I really liked that. There's too many pictures of me with like rocker tees and like the jeans down low with the multiple scarves and like just random layers that didn't need to be there, but
so many accessories
felt important.
Right. There's the famous Missoni dress.
So pretty.
And
that one, there's a whole story too.
What?
There's because they got the dress and I was obsessed and I was like, she has to wear this dress. It's beautiful. It's like my dream dress at the time. I just that's the way I felt about it. It's all sparkly in person and like just very Missoni. And, after the fact, I became quite good friends with the family, but like, this was like my first introduction to a Missoni piece. And I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this dress to the point where I begged them. This was like one of the first things they let me wear off set. And I begged them to let me wear it to outside of set. And I got to wear it. And, it was like my first date dress with like one of my ex-boyfriends. And I was so excited that I got to wear it out and that they let me borrow it.
Aww.
It was a special. So that dress has a special place in my heart. That's for sure.
That is so cute.
Yes, this one, the rainbow cardigan with the pleated denim, which is so now today still, I feel like.
I know this one actually looks like people walk around the village and stuff like this all the time. Like this feels very current. Unlike the next one, which is like a little bit. Although, did you see that Katie Holmes just wore that dress with jeans again that she wore back in the day? Which is literally what this is the dress with jeans. Yes, I saw that. I was like, yes, Katie.
I love a jeans and a dress. She had sneakers on with it though. So
that was a little.
Was that
I mean, she kind of broke the internet with it.
She did. Yeah, all for early 2000s dress over jeans.
Right. And this one, the True Religion jeans and a net Laporte top, a Chanel bag, and all of that, all the heavy necklaces, not heavy, but quite a few of them, the layering of the necklaces. Yeah. And then, of course, the most iconic really is that Chanel dress.
This is my all-time favorite, the Chanel prom dress.
Yeah, me too. It's another one. I wore it to like a premiere or something, or they let me wear it to the premiere as well as the show. And it was such a good.
Or
maybe it was a slightly different one. They sent more than one. I wore the brown one to the premiere actually. And maybe I just only wore this one on the show. But yeah, it's a beautiful dress.
It's so beautiful. It's like
very of that time.
Let's go for some voicemails.
Hey guys, my name is Sam and I'm from the Philippines. I'm a huge fan of the OC and I think it's really cool you guys are doing this podcast. My favorite Marissa Cooper moment is when she does the fashion show with Summer in the pilot, because what better way to introduce a fashion icon than with a fashion show? So I was wondering, Mischa, which is your favorite Marissa Cooper fashion moment? Thank you.
Aw, cute. I mean, my favorite is definitely the Chanel dress, to be very honest.
Yeah.
But that's the one that stands out. But I mean, she's got quite a few.
She has many.
Yeah, I mean.
But do you remember that fashion show, Mish? Like that, where you're like, look
do
what I
vaguely.
stole. Look what I stole. And
when she runs up with the vodka. Yeah. Do I actually walk in the fashion show?
Yes,
That's
you do.
Yeah.
And you make eyes with Ryan. And I think you're wearing a Diane von Furstenberg dress in the fashion show.
Well, it's a black with a little.
It's Diane von Furstenberg. I remember it. Yeah, it's black with like a pink sash shoulder.
Right.
Yes.
And the hair, and your hair was very like almost like 60s. Like Brigitte Bardot, like.
Yeah, it's so
my nightmare to walk in a fashion show like that. I remember them setting it up, but like, yeah, that's funny.
Hey, Rachel, Melinda, and Mischa. This is Ryan, Dylan, and Chelsea from Keeping Up with the Coens, an OC Rewatch podcast.
So here's the deal. When we started this podcast during the pandemic, you couldn't have told us in our wildest dreams that we would be having the opportunity to speak to all three of you all. This is peaking. We've peaked. This is great.
Our question for you today is, as the youngest member of the cast and the only one not originally from North America, how familiar were you with California surf culture, including the fashion and the music? And what was the learning curve like for you? Was there anything you learned that you particularly enjoyed? We'd love to hear the stories from that time.
Thanks. So, I mean, that's a great question. And no, I was not familiar with, like, I had never been to Newport Beach. I was not a surfer. I'm still not a surfer. Although, you know.
I'd like to see you surf, though. I feel like that would be really fun.
I tried, but I just find, like, the California waters is
so cold
for me. I can't do it. So, yeah, I wasn't familiar at the time. I'm definitely a changed person now. I mean, I've spent years living in California as well. So, like, it's a different thing. But it was a huge learning curve, actually, that whole, like, Billabong surf culture, like, what they wear, Vans, like, it is very different. And, you know, it was interesting to me. And like I said a little minute ago about, you know, putting on the costumes, really, like, it's her wardrobe that really helps, like, a lot with the attitude of the character, you know?
Yeah.
Do you remember helping Ugg get back on the radar? Ugg
Not
boots?
really. I know we wore Uggs every day on set, but, like, no.
No, there was in the model home, you wore some knee-high Uggs, and all of a sudden sales went up because they've been around for years, you know, surfers in Orange County that they've worn them. But yes.
Hi, I'm Shari from Teen Drama Horror. My question for Mischa is, what do you think is the biggest misconception about Marissa? What's the one thing that you just wish people would understand about her? Thank you.
Oh, that's tough. I think it's, you know, I mean, I think you guys said that it does come across, but that she's a caring, like, a very sensitive person, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing about her. She's, like, this sensitive and, yeah, that she wants to, like, care for people and help, and, like, she has a big heart like that, which I think comes across, right?
I think it did too. Remember, like, how cool she was with, like, when Teresa, we said this before, like, she was never petty. She was never jealous. She was like, okay.
yeah.
She was very, like, you know, trusting when like Ryan's in Miami and she's like, that sounds interesting. You know, like she was never like that jealous girlfriend. She was more like matter of fact, you know?
Yeah.
So there was something very caring and very,
but, like, yeah, I suppose it's like
nurturing.
I hope she never comes to go, like, and I think she might at times as icy, because I think, you know, she had a big heart and, like, was
You had
very...
the biggest heart. You took care of everyone, even like Oliver, who was absolutely out of his mind. You saw the good in everyone.
Well, there, and then when she was trying to be nice to Trey, you know, but the audience sometimes were like, "Don't do it, Marissa!
Yeah.
Like, why are you giving so much attention to Johnny?"
Yeah.
You know, there were times where, you know, and you know, she didn't believe Ryan. You know, of course, we watchers of the show were like, why did she make that decision? But she always had good intentions. She was never malicious.
Right. I think that's the main thing. She had good intentions.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
even if she made bad decisions, I think she internalized the pain and tried, like, if she took it out on anyone, she took it out on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
She's perfectly imperfect, just like all of us.
Hi, Mischa. I'm Michelle. And I'm Liz. We're the host of Let's Talk OC, and we'd like to know,
what was your process like for preparing and portraying Marissa?
Well, I think that was kind of something that developed with the character, you know. I always used to say this about TV, but, like, because they write the character as you go, it's a never-ending kind of, like, learning curve. And, you know, just kind of, like, finding the right tone for her was really tough. And I think I told Mindy about this too, like, in the beginning, like, they really wanted to mess with, like, how much of a Southern Californian accent I had, and there was, like, a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes and sort of landing the right tone that I guess even the cast wasn't aware what's going on. But so, like, yeah, I think, you know, just really, like, finding as much as you can when you're like going with the flow day in and day out with the script, like, you know, the heart of her and what the whole, you know, like the setting the right tone between her being this rich, like privileged Southern California girl, but also like having some sort of a heart and some depth to her and something more than just what you would typically maybe think of as like that it's a blonde.
Well, she doesn't want to emulate what her mom is. I think that kids like to do the opposite, right? Even though her mom is trying to mold her into this character, because her
But that
mom
very
comes
much
from something.
grows
Yeah.
with the writing and with the character, right? Because I wasn't really that anyway, and so you can't hide everything about who you are. I'm like definitely not Marissa, like that is 1000% for sure. But like you cannot write day in and day out for somebody without like kind of having to like incorporate some part of them into so like, you know, because I think originally they would have liked her to be a lot more kind of like Legally Blonde, you know, and like a lot
You said
more
like bubbly and no, but I don't know. I
comedic
think
and
it
like
was
like a
oh,
lot
really?
more. Well, you know, I've never really understood why they had me watch it, but I've told you before, like it's very muddled. But they had me watch like Kate Hudson in Almost Famous again and again, certain scenes.
Really?
Yeah, which was I'm not even sure like where that exactly applies to like the way Marissa was written, but they did have some very interesting ideas. I think because she's more kind of like fluid and less like I speak very kind of precisely. Maybe they wanted to try so many things where she was more OC, like, oh my God, like, yeah, like totally, like very like did the more of the dits and like, you know, then when that was really hard for me to play, they were like, okay, let's rethink this because I mean, it's the first scene where she's drunk at the part. It's the first episode where she's drunk at the party or whatever. I remember I was asked to play that every way to Sunday drunk. Like, okay, now she should be like fall down drunk, like she's stumbling through the party. And then like there were takes where I was like completely composed, a little bit slurring my words. You know, that was all very much like find it as you go.
Yeah, and also I'm sure working with Doug, who tends to, you know, want to try everything and get really in there and go for it, that probably had to do with it as well.
Yeah, I love Doug. I mean, it was funny because I remember things about that first episode slightly wrongly, and Mindy corrected me at dinner when we were in South Carolina because I thought, like, I remember it like Doug was even like controlling the camera at one point.
I'm
like,
sure he was.
He could have. Yeah.
He would take cameras
like,
and just he would take the camera and do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, but like I mean, I have this memory that he like cut my head off, and so they wouldn't let him do the camera operating anymore because like we did a whole take and then realized it was unusable because I wasn't fully in the frame, and they were like, "That was a good take," but but like I have like memories of stuff like that from the first episode, and like you know, I remained really close to Doug after that. I like working with him a lot, but like it was definitely a lot of opposing types of direction. Like Doug and McGee and Josh are all different characters and would approach things in a very different way. So I don't know that we answered this poor girl's question.
You know, I mean, a process. It's one thing if you're doing like a film where you're only shooting 3 or 4 months or something, where you really have to do all that preparation and be consistent. But on a television show, when you're doing it 10 months out of the year, as you're doing it every day for that long, eventually you get to know, your character.
That's the best way of putting it. You get to know your character.
So there's not a huge amount of preparation that goes into it once you're into it.
Yeah, I always get so insulted when people are like, "Oh my God, I bet you're just like Marissa," and it's like, no, actually, like really nothing like her with my like English background. But like, it's true, you get to know your character, and so like that's what happens is you somehow sort of like, you know, this is. It makes it easier for you when you wake up in the morning, like to understand.
Well,
like,
and you have to because you're not going to be like going off and just because it says that, you know, we're not necessarily doing deep dive method acting for, you know, an episode because you're literally doing it especially when you're doing it for 4 seasons or 3 seasons, you know what to do in those characters.
Well, you have to find out pretty quickly or you're going to be torturing yourself big time.
Yeah. You can't take yourself too seriously when you're doing it a day in and day out for 10 months out of the year.
No, because remember when they started shooting 2 episodes at a time and they would just hand me pages? I don't know if you guys had as much of this, but they would be this is going to be probably in the next episode. And since we're on this set, we're going to give this scene a go. So like, here's a couple pages from what's probably going to happen. And I'd be like, this is wild. What have you written for the next episode? I would be like, you'd read it and you'd be like, holy shit, where are we going with this? So it would be like, I remember a lot of that. So
yeah. No, you don't have a lot of time to prep in television. So, well, thank you for your question, ladies.
Hi, Mischa. My name is Noelle. I am calling in from Sweden. First of all, just wanted to thank you for your absolutely amazing performance as Marissa Cooper. I wanted to ask you if there are any storylines you would have wanted to see more of from Marissa, or if there's anything you would have liked to have seen Marissa explore. Okay, thanks, guys. So much love. Bye.
From Sweden.
I feel like, definitely the Alex storyline is what jumps to mind. I feel like that could have been explored more. Also, there's not a lot of her and her sister, really.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been explored more.
Yeah.
There was some good, there was a scene that they had. It's one of my favorite scenes where Caitlin was like, Marissa, you got to commit. When I commit, I commit. You can never, and it was a really telling scene. Like the audience got to know them a little bit better, got to know Marissa way better from this one particular episode, I think, and this one particular scene. I thought it was a really interesting insight with Caitlin
siblings
and Marissa,
will do that to you.
Right.
You learn a lot about somebody through the eyes of,
yes,
because it's family. I mean, we got the dynamic with you and I, Mindy, and with her friends, but I think like the sibling thing and then the Alex thing, because it really was her thing, and then it wasn't.
Right.
I don't think that it kind of didn't go.
Yeah. It was definitely something she was, Julie was kind of right. Julie was like, it's a phase, which is, I guess it's very much an insult to somebody who's exploring that. And, but
Julie
because
was
she's
good
like,
with the insults.
She was good with the insults. Yeah. That's what she was like.
Julie had some bangers.
I mean,
I know there were times when I had to be so harsh and I would just laugh. I don't know if you remember. I'd be like, I can't say this to you. Anyway.
All right, let's go to Matt.
Question. Yeah. From Matt.
Hi, this is Matt in Brooklyn. I'm a huge fan of The OC. It's my favorite show, and I love listening to the podcast each week. Thank you so much for doing it. My question is for Mischa. Mischa, Marissa was my favorite character on the show, and one of my favorite moments of hers was midway through season 2 when she finds out that her parents, who are divorced, are having an affair with one another, and her dad, Jimmy, decides to leave Newport to get his life together, and Marissa has this big drunken confrontation with her parents at the Coens' fancy party and has this iconic line that she's the daughter of a thief and a slut. And then a very tearful goodbye with Jimmy on the beach afterward. And finally, the episode ends with Marissa showing up to the Coen house with bagels the next morning, and they take her in and comfort her. And I love it so much because I think your performance is amazing. I think you hit all of the OC notes between the funnier lines, the comedy, the high drama, and then the sweet, sad, down-to-earth moments as well. And I was wondering whether you remember it being difficult to hit all of those notes in a single episode and to have that range each week, since Marissa would go through so much in any given episode. And I was also curious whether you remember what it was like on set when you would find out various plot twists, like, for instance, Jimmy leaving that episode, and any memories you have around that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, wow. But that's a really well thought out question. And it's kind of going to go back over some of what I've already said. But yes, I mean, I do have memories of it being quite difficult to shoot. Like, I have like vivid memories of like trying to nail all those different things and like, having her be multiple things So yes, is the answer. I do remember it, and I have feelings about it. I mean, it was intense because again, you have to understand in television, it's sort of as you go, and you don't have a ton of time to get it right. So you do really like you want to do it justice and do it right, but like there's just not a whole lot of room there. So it's a very heightened sense of like, okay, we gotta kind of nail all these different things. I have a recollection again of shooting it, but not what it really looks like finished and what that is. But I know that the Coens take her in, and it's a big deal.
It's very
we always
sweet.
talk about how you were so proficient. Like Marissa constantly had to have tears streaming down her face, and we're always like jealous. Like I'm inconsistent at best, or there were moments, but I'm like that Mischa, she can do it.
You could just drop a
The
tear.
cry on cue.
Yeah.
Well,
It was always
Cry on
impressive.
Hi, Rachel and Mindy and Mischa. I'm Sam. I'm from Florida, the other Orange County. I love the podcast. I watched the OC from day one when I was just 10 years old, which is probably too young, but I was so drawn in by the characters and the family. My question's for Mischa, which is really just wondering whether she knows how important her character is in terms of storytelling and all the ground she covered. Some of it was a little bit vague, but I mean, especially in 22 with how much we talk about mental health. So many things come to mind: depression, suicidal ideation, addiction, exploring her sexual orientation. She really was before her time and such a complex character. Mischa, you did an amazing job, and I hope you know how meaningful Marissa was and still is to so many people. Thanks so much.
Aw, that's a nice way to close it out.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think, she was ahead of her time. And I mean, that's kudos to the writers and to everybody else, as well. But I think, she definitely went through a lot. But I do think that it's good that, like you said, Rachel, there's some stuff on that show or from the OC that we wouldn't do today, obviously, in 2022. And some that's been and would be handled just differently, But for back then, we were able to do, it was doing the best it could. Do you know what I mean? I suppose on some of that stuff, especially for mainstream anyway, what you could put in people's living rooms. But the mental health thing is a whole other part of it. Yeah, I mean, obviously she suffers from like depression and anxiety and all sorts of things, this girl. And like, it's not really, that's what I was saying about the overdose scene. I do not remember like what we think she's on or what we really think her biggest problem is, or if it's really, because I mean, ultimately it's rooted in mental wellness, isn't it? I mean, like so much of anything is, any kind of addiction. It's not really about just one thing or vice that she has. It's about like being at that age and being so overwhelmed from the world around you and not really feeling like she had the tools to cope, right? Because I mean,
She wanted it. The episode is called "The Escape," so she's escaping that pain that she's living through that the parents are oblivious to,
right?
There's
There's
throughout this whole thing.
There's never like a counselor there or a teacher there, or and they're not the type of parent. Yeah, there's never like any sort of like, it does feel like she's always grasping. In different directions. And so, I mean, it's not properly defined. And I think maybe in today's terms, we would handle that differently. But I definitely think that she's going through all of it and searching for herself. And so, I mean, I'm always happy whenever anything is cathartic for the viewer. I'm like, that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to come on today. It's like, it is important for people who hold it dearly. And same for me, but from a different perspective.
Well,
I'm
part
so
2.
glad.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? We just are so grateful that you were willing to come on. The people have been asking and hounding, and obviously, like we said, it just speaks to how powerful you were on the show and how much everyone loves you. So we thank you from the bottom of our heart to have come and spoken with us. And I love you so much. And I know we haven't seen each other in forever, but I always love you from afar and support you. And I would love to see you when you're in town. But we just have to like truly say thank you. And we're so happy you came on.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Same,
Before we
Rachel.
leave,
Love you and love you, Mindy. Yeah, go on.
No, I just wanted to say before we leave, I know you have a film coming out, and did you want to chat about that?
Yeah, I mean,
Invitation to a Murder is coming out, and I'm really excited about it.
it's like the kind of thing I really love to play. If you know me, it's like a 1930s drama sleuthy piece, like Agatha Christie. So that was fun for me. And this time, my British accent is on point. I hope. Watching that clip was like so painful. But no, I mean it's a fun piece, and I was really lucky to work with really cool actors like James Urbaniak and Grace Lynn Kung and all these really cool Bianca Santos, and I think they kill it. So thanks.
That is very, very exciting.
Yes. So, well, again, thank you so much. We've come to, I'm so grateful that you were able to come on. And
I'm so glad we did this. This was really fun. And, it is nice to take a trip down memory lane. And I had forgotten about a lot of this. So, yeah, I'm really glad. And I can't believe we cried over rewatching the ending of that.
No, I would not.
I'm gonna go away and think about that now.
Wasn't planned. You got over, I don't know what the final number was, but over close to a couple hundred voicemails, more than anybody on this podcast.
Yes,
so people were
you.
extremely excited for you to come on, and we're so grateful. It just feels good that we were able to do this at the end of season 3. And yeah, it's a pretty wild experience to delve into this and explore this show that really has had such a cultural impact, and good, bad, ugly, whatever this show has done for all of us. It's really important, I think, that, we all went through this collectively, and it's really wonderful to celebrate something that we loved and really changed our lives in so many ways. In so many ways. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Follow, rate, and review Welcome to the OC Bitches wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you like to watch us, check it out on YouTube.
Bye, bitches.
Welcome to the OC Bitches is brought to you by Cast Media. Executive produced by Colin Thompson, Harris Lane, produced by Katie Curtwright,
Edited by Parker Flores and our technical engineers, Travis Holden and Dustin Park.